Ready.
First item, and the only item on the agenda is from Guthrie. They're looking to install a new generator building and fuel tank adjacent to their boiler house. They also need a special use permit and we have to go through the site plan this evening. Would like to speak on Guthrie's behalf?
So, yeah, I'm Jenny Arkham, I'm the president of the hospital, but we have to be here from MRB group to speak to it. We are in a position where.
Why don't you come up here and
No, you're fine.
You guys have drawings on it.
We did, yeah, we've all kind of wanted a verbal description of what can take place.
Absolutely. So as Jen was just starting to explain, this is a single freestanding building that will be built with precast concrete. It's tucked behind the ED in an area that's a utility space right now for the hospital. And it's intended to house two very large generators that will serve as a redundant system for the hospital. They currently have their backup emergency power provided by a generator that's on a trailer. And the state has mandated that they have permanent backup power in place by the end of the year. So this is part of the process to get to the point where we have that system in place.
Questions from the board? Anything to read through as we go through the application?
Just some questions on the seeker, I guess, the short form, as we go through.
Yeah, we can
through that.
Yeah, sure. Any other specific things? Roy, is there something we need to know?
Seeker, yeah, the county wanted to do a full one.
Full seeker?
I gotta go make a copy of that, I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay. So because the state says you have to have this, it's pretty much essential that you have this structure built. Your hands are kind of tied, so you don't keep something on a trailer if it's not allowed by the state.
That's correct. Yes.
Yep. All right. All right, as soon as Roy comes back, we'll go to the long form. While we're waiting, is there any questions that you guys?
Yeah, I'll ask. So it looks like when county assessed the plan, they wanted, considerations made for roof water runoff. And,
That's correct. It'll be connected to the stormwater.
okay, so that's all going in the same place.
Yes.
And then they also had concerns about construction vehicle sediment and traffic.
Yep, yeah, so we will have a plan in place to manage that. It's, I think, relatively small as far as construction goes, so I don't expect it to have any impact on the neighborhood. With it being a precast system, the building itself will go up very quickly.
Is that the whole purpose of going with precast to speed up the
Yep.
process?
Yep, we're trying to make sure it's efficient. The mass of the building also helps. Because the generators are so large that they'll make a fair amount of noise. So we wanted to be able to keep that contained as much as we can, since it is in a neighborhood where we don't want to disturb everybody.
I guess on a similar line to that, is there additional lighting that's gonna go in?
There are a few lights that will go on the building itself, just to light the sidewalk and the utility area around it.
Okay,
They're not gonna be like big spotlights or anything.
okay, they'll be
it's-
lower than the,
Yes, they'll be lower than the current ones.
I know lighting has been an issue with some of the neighbors.
Sure. Yeah, this should provide more focused lighting on the areas where they need it and less kind of overflow, that you see right now.
Did the elevation show that exhaust stacks coming out of the generator?
Yeah, they come straight out the top of the building and they project about 30 feet from the top of the building, so they're fairly tall.
Yeah.
They will be held in place with guide wires, just to stabilize them. So altogether, the height of it is very much in line with kind of the taller buildings on site.
That stack height's also code driven, I needs to be.
It is, because there are some air handlers nearby. We want to make sure that fumes from the generator don't get sucked back into the hospital. So we have to get above them, basically.
Okay. All right, Yeah, just a few questions about the special use permit. The lot area is sufficient, appropriate, and adequate for the use, I'm assuming.
That's for.
Oh, for us, okay. Yeah, there's others. Can we start the secret now, then we can, go with the special use? Any other questions or concerns?
So that's the short form,
Oh, short one.
because it's never required.
Attached to the application.
That's part one.
Oh, first one, okay, all right.
You know, normally it's like a 9-page one, like you did for Hess.
Yeah,
This isn't, Hess it was required because of the amount of digging and potential hazardous materials and hazardous waste they had there in the ground.
okay.
It's not required here. It was a request by the county.
Oh, I see what you mean, okay.
So we're just gonna use the part 2 and 3 short form.
Okay, all right, well, why don't we start with this thing, I know it's kind of like. All right, this is a short environmental assessment form, part 2. We're assuming a lead agency for the planning commission. And there are 11 questions we'd like to ask.
Okay,
Just yes or no for the most part.
sure.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adapted land use plan or zoning regulations? Don't think so.
After you grant the special use permit, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay,
They've already got all the area variances.
yeah, the CBA approved all the area variances. Okay. Number 2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of, use of land?
No.
I don't think so. Number 3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
I don't think so. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
No.
Don't be here, you guys.
No.
That's okay. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect the existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? This is in, inside or near.
Yes, it's all for them.
Number 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy? And it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
So this, in this case, I believe, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the answer is yes, but. So they were told by this. You were told by whoever wrote you up for this, that they have to have enough, so they can't connect to natural gas. Which would be more healthy for the environment. They have to have an on-site
And it has to.
fuel source.
Okay. So,
And having a natural gas tank would not work in that. It'd be way too big.
Right, but they're not using any more energy out of our utility system, right? All their energy is from a.
But it's a diesel fuel generator. I'm bringing this up because it was brought up in the county. 2 or 3 people in the county had concerns that it wasn't natural gas, it wasn't a cleaner fuel.
but in a sense, the diesel fuel is really their only option, correct?
Yes,
They don't
diesel
really-
fuel is their only.
So why don't I put that under here, diesel fuel only option?
Can you read the question again?
Sure.
So I understand that.
Yeah. This is question number 6 of 11. Says, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy? And it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities. Their hands are tied, they really can't use.
Yeah, but they're
natural
not,
gas, so-
again, they're not using any more. of
We're
our
not in-
energy.
No,
Right, if they're using our natural gas, the answer would be yes, but they're not. So
Right.
to me, it's a no, but.
Uh,
That's up for.
Like-
No, that's fine, what do you guys want? I'm just telling you, one of the things on your county checklist was,
I'll check, yeah.
why didn't they consider
Like
natural gas? And the reason
Right.
why is because the state felt it needed to be an on-site source that could not be broken.
Right.
On-site source. You. Do state regs. Make sure that gets put on there. All right, number 7, will the proposed action impact existing A, public/private water supplies? B, public/private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Those are A and B.
What is the containment requirement for a 20,000 gallon diesel fuel tank?
So it is a double walled tank that's designed that if there is a leak, that the second level basically contains the issue. It also has alarms. So that in the event that there was a leak, the hospital would be notified, and depending on the severity of the leak.
But you still have to have a berm with a self-contained drain that holds whatever the normal
Right.
rainfall is plus 20% or something like that, the berm does. So there's gotta be, so you gotta have a raised berm.
Some kind of curbing or something that would contain it if it gets through your secondary, right?
I believe that's on the plans. We just got the plans today, and I believe that is on the plans.
That's on the plans, okay.
Yes.
All right, number 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? That's no. Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, e.g. wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora and fauna?
No.
No. Number 10, will proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
And finally, number 11, will proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? All right, can I have someone move, that we declare a what is it, negative declaration? Okay, can I have a motion to that effect? All right, Mike, second.
I'll second that.
All right, further discussion? All right, all those in favor of declaring a negative declaration, say aye. Aye, anyone opposed? All right, motion carries, we've got that covered. I'll fill out the bottom of Sandy when you're ready at the end of the meeting, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right. All right, so we got the seeker covered, the ZBA covered the area variances, we should probably vote on those though too, right? That they approved, I think we still have to,
Well, we should approve the site plan.
site plan first.
Note the area variances.
Oh, no.
Did you read the conditions of the county?
Yeah, there was something on here for us to consider, it's like general considerations, I'm not sure if that was from the county or not.
That was, so the general thing was for me, if you look at the county
Counties for,
return letter, that's attached.
I gotta find that, hold on a second, I'm
Can you
sorry,
find a page number for that one?
yeah.
34.
34?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Laura. 34 or 48, maybe go 32, 33.
Is entirely possible.
Okay. All right, yeah, the county had 5 things for us to consider. It says resolve, the only under the following conditions does the board recommend approval of the site plan review, special use permit and area variances. Number 1, that the applicant mitigate construction traffic from tracking material onto the adjacent roads, and I think we talked about in your presentation, at the beginning, you're trying to minimize that as much as possible, correct?
Correct.
Number 2, that the applicant prevent stormwater and sediment from leaving the site during construction and control sediment from entering existing storm drainage structures. Okay,
So is there a SWIFT plan?
I don't believe that we included one, but we can certainly provide one.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
okay. Number 3, that the applicant provide consideration regarding roof water runoff, and now you were talking to Chris about that, so I think we addressed that one. Number 4, that if the applicant does include signage, you're not gonna include signage, all right, so we can skip that, well, so let me just read through it, so we cover it. That the applicant does include signage, that they adhere to the requirements of 300-115 sign type standards in neighborhood business, NB, and professional office. So I guess if you have if you do decide to put a sign there, you've got to come back to us again, okay? And then finally, number 5, that the city consider completing parts 2 and 3 of the environmental assessment form. We did part 2, I believe, right? Yes. Yeah, we did 2.
And then part 3 is attached to that.
Wait, I didn't have that. I don't know. Part 3, okay, I better read through that then, okay. This is part 3 of the environmental assessment form. Oh, okay, well, it's in referral to part 2. It says, for every question in part 2 that was answered, moderate to large impact may occur. or if there is a need to explain why a particular element of the proposed action may or will not result in a significant adverse environmental impact, please complete part three. Part three should, in sufficient detail, identify the impact, including any measures or design elements that have been included by the project sponsor to avoid or reduce impacts. Part three should also explain how the lead agency determined that the impact may or will not be significant. Each potential impact should be assessed, considering its setting, probability of occurring, duration, irreversibility, geographic scope, and magnitude. Also consider the potential for short-term, long-term, and cumulative impacts. Well, it's going back to the diesel fuel as opposed to natural gas. So how should we address that? How do you want me to?
I think it's just like you said, I've been told, and she said it too, the state told them they have to have a continuous on-site means of powering the generator.
Okay,
And having a natural gas tank is on site.
It's in-
To have a tank that big, they would feel you'd have to have an LNG. Which is a whole other nightmare that they don't wanna, or do they wanna get into. So,
right, okay, I'll write something to that effect. So far I've got state requires on-site power generator, which essentially can only use diesel for its source, right?
Ultimately, that's the result, yeah.
that is technically feasible. The
Okay.
diesel is the only fuel that is technically feasible
Generator, using diesel.
and financially feasible.
Which is only.
Just out of curiosity, it's complete redundancy for these generators, they won't both be running at the same
That's correct.
time.
It's kind of a backup for the other one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Good point. Good point.
Oh, well, while you're done with that, there's two things that I'm thinking about that we've had issues with the past with generators.
Okay,
The weekly tests have to be done between 9 AM and 5 PM. They can be not done outside of those hours.
9 AM and 5 PM.
There's noise ordinances for the area.
So if you could put that in your,
Okay,
and then
I'll put that right on here. Everybody tell us.
the other thing is around, they're gonna move the FDC out from where it is now. They have to put a fire lane on that, around where that FDC is painted on
On the
the
track.
concrete. Please. Thank you.
So fire lane, required where again?
With the connection.
That connection.
That's large enough for one engine.
you repeat that about the,
There's two things. Weekly tests has to be done between 9 AM and 5 PM. That's the first requirement. And a fire lane, has to be provided at the connection. Large enough to allow one truck in there.
One engine,
One engine, one engine.
fire pumper, fire, I mean.
Is the 1 week requirement a healthcare
Huh?
requirement?
Yeah, why do they have to run one test a week? I'm just curious.
Well, we do it monthly,
It's Department of Healthcare.
Department of
So,
Health
it
regulations.
seems like that'd be more stringent.
Because
of
Very-
work.
Hospitals, okay.
Very regulated by the Department of
Sure.
Health.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. All right,
And this isn't sprinkler,
It's not,
It's
because
a,
it's small and it's pretty
it's a
standard.
box, concrete box, you're good with it?
it's a utility building. And plus, water doesn't work too well with electricity, so you try to avoid putting water on it when you can.
So it is non-combustible construction, and the risk is minimal.
okay. All right, anything else, Roy, that we should be covering? I think we get the.
I think that's it for the site plan.
What's that?
I think that's it.
For the site plan, okay.
I guess I have one more.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
what assurance do you have, like you said, you got air intakes for your air handling system? Have you done wind tunnel analysis to prove that your exhaust isn't going into your air intakes? My only concern is you find that out later, and you got everything in place and it's a real nightmare for everybody.
Sure, sure. They have not done modeling on it. It's, just following the mechanical codes. You know, there are rules about how far apart things have to be and what the height is. they were looking at the prevailing winds and just making sure that we're exceeding all of those requirements to make sure that it doesn't become a problem.
And I guess the other question is the neighbors. You wanna make sure those streams don't end up in our neighbors as well.
Sure. So ultimately, it's a 20-foot tall building, and then the stacks go up another 30 feet, so, you know, it's exhausting that air quite high. So by the time it gets to neighbors or to the air handlers, it really should be pretty well, you know, diffused at that point.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. The intakes just can be tricky
Yes.
and kind of.
Anybody else see anything else on that application they want to ask about?
Do those stacks have scrubbers on?
I can ask them.
Probably a good idea since it is diesel fuel that those stacks have scrubbers on. I didn't get into that far into the plans, we just got into today, so.
Should we put that in the requirement that they have scrubbers, the stacks?
So I don't know whether it's required or not.
Oh,
If it's not required, we could ask.
Or it could say if it was required, we require. If it's, is it a state level or federal level requirement? I'm not really sure.
Scrubbers,
Yeah,
I'm not, it would be EPA probably, or state
EPA,
DEC. There's a certain. I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my
No, it's
head.
all right.
I gotta believe there's a certain. Discharge, a certain percentage of discharge of contaminant that you can have, anything over that is not allowed, so. Most of the time, when you put in a exhaust system of this magnitude, that has both stacks will have a scrubber in them. So,
I can check the drawings.
so. They're both. Diesel engines, do they, are they diesel engines that run on do they run on is there also a tank for the. DEF
Pardon?
fluid? DEF fluid that cleans the exhaust?
I think I would need the engineers to answer that question. I'm not sure the answer.
Because so our trucks. It's a state requirement, these trucks have a fluid that cleans the exhaust, it's called. A DEF fluid, and I'm wondering if this is the same. Type of system, that's all. Because then it might not be required, because we don't really have scrubbers on our trucks.
Yeah, I don't know if we scrub any diesel exhaust on their generators. Or any of.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe they got that. That additive
they can put in your, yeah, that sounds right. That is true.
that cleans the exhaust out. It's a question, you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just one more thing to maintain and do something,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I understand, I get it.
And I think the height requirement of the exhaust and the whatever.
I think the hope is that they never get used, just except for that weekly test.
Well, yeah, just a weekly test. They're gonna be running
I get it.
Just with that.
That would be a very nice workflow then. Unfortunately, I think the hospital has found recently that power goes out fairly frequently, so.
More and more so.
Yeah. This is definitely a needed upgrade. I don't spot anything on the drawings, but that being said, I'm not an engineer, so I will have to check with them.
They're just checking on that, and just, for nothing else, it'd be
So
curious.
it's included in the,
No,
no,
it was just a thought I had.
yeah, no, that's understandable. All right, any other comments or concerns from the board? Jim, you have any questions or concerns?
Nope.
No. All right, so I guess we're moving on to this, well, we gotta, don't we have to approve the special use permit, then the site plan review? I believe that's the order, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Well, yeah,
All right, can I have a motion to approve the special use permit for this project that the hospital's undertaking at the hospital?
Make that motion.
All right, Jim, second,
Second.
Mike, all right, further discussion.
So this is. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why this is even like it is. You have a hospital that's been there over 100 years, you have a code that's been there since 2017, since we redid it or something like that.
Mhm.
And they put long-term healthcare facilities as need of a special use permit right smack dab where the hospital's been for 100 years. I don't know.
That's a
Nobody
good
run it.
question.
So
I don't-
that's the
I don't
special
know.
use permit you're gonna approve, I hope.
Only with a part-time.
Exactly, but I think it makes them come back every time they add on or do something,
Change, yeah.
right? I mean, as hospitals do kind of sprawl and move around, at least it gives us the ability to.
Well, it gives you, if something becomes a nuisance,
Mhm.
because it's such a large business in the middle of town, I guess it gives you an option to
Yeah.
revisit any
Yeah.
nuisances, right?
Right.
I like hospital in the middle of town.
Yeah, it's convenient, yeah. All right, so we've got a motion, we've got a second. Any further discussion for our special use permit? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carried. All right, next thing is the site plan review, approval. We did the short seeker, part 2 and 3. Looks like everything's square there. Can I have a motion to approve the site plan?
If she has larger plans there, I wouldn't mind just. I guess taking a quick look at them.
Just trying to couple with the drawing.
The PDF wouldn't blow up so I could read some stuff.
Yeah, some of it's kind of small, it's good.
Would you like me to orient
Yes.
It's like from North Arrow.
So the hospital is basically surrounding this, the ED entrance is actually back here.
Back over there, okay.
Yep, this is all parking lot that goes, you know, basically around the hospital, the main
So the
entrance.
nursing
over
home,
here.
up and down will be over.
All the way
Right, right,
over here, okay.
right, okay.
Yep, so right now, this is actually a utility yard, they've got a fence around it, and this is where the temporary generator is.
That's it.
And then, you know, we're gonna build it out so that, you know, kind of a concrete box there for the new generators.
Okay.
And we'll be putting in a new driveway off of the ED driveway there, so that they can still, they've got their, like trash compactors and dumpsters there, that they'll still be using this area.
So you only have temporary generator now?
Right now, yeah.
And that's what, so you're out of compliance with just one generator, I gotcha, okay.
Yeah, they've been working on a solution for quite a while, but we're at the point where we really need them
Let's go.
to pull the trigger.
Okay.
And then the fuel tank's gonna go back here, this is kind of a long, just access area. And then, the, fire department connection that Roy mentioned is going, it shows up on a different plan, so this one, it goes right here, just outside the fence. So this fire lane that's marked is gonna be fire lane. And then this is also a remote, their location for the, so they don't drive back, there's no gate access.
And then, Roy, do you have code requirements on all that stuff, the fill station, like the relocation of your FDC and what they need to do while.
Well, they weren't, so I asked to have the FTC relocated because it's
Right.
way back in the middle where they're putting the tank in.
Right here, right now.
So they're moving it up, so that's good. As far as the FTC, it's gotta be a 5-inch storage. That's all code stuff that I'll get into when I look at the
I
plans.
guess during while the relocation is, I just wanna make sure you're happy and you can connect.
Oh, I mean, it's in a much better place. The new place is much better than even the old one was, so we ain't gonna hand jack 100-foot and 5-inch hose.
And it should be moved during the first phase of construction, so when we get into putting up the building, they'll already be in the new location.
The. Both the FTC and the fill station for the tank, did you say there's gonna be a fill station there for the tank?
Mhm.
That
I think
should
it's like a
have,
general area.
that should have impact section,
Yes,
and the fill station should probably have some of that. Containment too.
Okay.
The berms.
the engineer.
The tank overflow already,
I'm not sure about the answer to that.
so it should be visible, it's visible and. Visible and. That's the word I'm looking for, be able to be heard by who's ever filling out that tank.
Sure.
And you don't care if the generator should run in?
Yeah, shit, well, if the generators are running, absolutely. it should be.
Well, I know, but like, I'm talking first responder wise. There's no indication that the generator's running, or is that on the fire alarm panel? It'll be tied into the fire alarm.
It'll be a tight.
All that stuff. Okay.
Oh, is there gonna, you're putting fire alarms in that building, I'm assuming, yes,
Correct, yes.
and carbon monoxide alarm?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
Any other comments or concerns? All right,
This
so
is-
we, yeah, go
This is stuff I just assumed on the plans again, we just got in today and I haven't.
today, Eric, right?
Got it, doing it.
Yeah, I'll leave that to you.
And so are we ready for the site plan review? Or approval rather, site plan review. We have a motion to approve the site plan as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Chris, second.
Can I add one more thing before you approve it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Get a third party electrical involved from the beginning.
Okay,
Like, I think you guys usually use Commonwealth or the inspector or Lakin, one of those two.
oh, for special inspections?
Yes,
Okay,
because I'm probably gonna have them look at the electrical portion of the plans.
Okay.
But the majority of this, besides the site plan and stuff and some of the fire safety stuff, is mostly electrical.
Yeah.
We don't do electrical inspections, so you gotta,
Right.
I would get one of those three companies involved almost immediately.
and I think we already set up the escrow account for that review.
Yes.
First, we got a motion, we got a second, any further discussion?
I could talk about it all night, but no, no.
All right, all those in favor of the site plan review that the hospital is presented to us, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion carried. So you guys should be all set. All right, if you need anything else from us, just holler.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay, yeah, good luck. Sounds like a good project. All right,
You
the
like to
only,
keep it on?
So you can.
the only other thing I think was our minutes, right? We're gonna back up on.
Yeah, we gotta go in. Ways.
Yeah.
So we had January, March, and April.
Okay,
So Joe was asking about the one that he wasn't here.
I wasn't here for February, so that's, I think you guys probably already approved that one. I wasn't here.
No, I don't think.
No, you didn't.
So we didn't have, a meeting in February.
Oh, that's right, no, you didn't.
And,
After-
I forget, one of those.
March was the one that you were out.
I was out in March.
Yeah, one of them I had to go back and recreate.
Okay.
That
What,
you
about
can,
6 o'clock?
you can vote to accept whether you were present or not.
No, I can vote, even if I wasn't there, okay. All right, well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the January, March, and April minutes. I'll make that motion as presented. Can I have a second?
I'll second those.
All right, Mike, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of the January, February, and March? No,
January, March, April.
April minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, anyone opposed? All right, motion carried. All right, is there anything else, Andy, that maybe you didn't make a note? No, okay.
We are good.
All right, can I have a motion to adjourn then? Mike, second?
Second that.
All right, I'll, further discussion? I'll, oh, I know, but we have to do it, it's a formality. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. It looks like our next meeting in June is the 2nd, is that something? Yeah, June 2nd, that's the first Monday, so we'll be back again on June 2nd.